Okay, let's have a look at this, a brief introduction to how to build a time machine from 1983, the Montauk Chair, the Montauk experiment. How to build a time machine, and of course we needed a white noise. Preston Nichols mentions in one of his talks that the white noise generator was a General Radio 1363, and this is it. This is like the one that they built in 1969. Of course, they built loads of them, but this was the white noise generator from General Radio, the 1363. Let's have a look at it. Here we go. We've got a noise diode going into an amplifier between 40 Hz and 80 megahertz, gain control, modulator with a 60 megahertz oscillator input, coming out into a low pass filter, 20 megahertz, into a video amplifier, 20 Hz to 20 megahertz. Then you've got your meter circuit to your meter, and then you've got your attenuator, and then you've got your output. So the famous white noise generator, or as it's called here, random noise generator, used in the Montauk Chair circuit. So let's have a look at the circuit. And this is the Montauk Chair electrical circuit based on the triple integral of frequency and time. Time zero, which is tangent zero, and time infinity, which is actually tangent 90, where the white noise goes in. So frequency and time. So that's very similar to the time field equation, which is frequency equals 1 over time, that shows that when you plot that out, frequency equals 1 over time. When you plot that out on a graph, it shows that time has no beginning or no end. Now, if you multiply both sides by t, then you get frequency times time equals 1. And obviously, when you change the frequency, you also change the time if it equals 1, because that's a constant. And that's how this chair works, basically, apart from this chair is actually built on the triple integration and the other mathematical equations. So essentially what you've got is the stable reference 30 Hertz and a variable reference, time reference of 30 Hertz to 90 Hertz, and they go into mixers. And then you've got your white noise generation from the 1383 going in to the Y antenna, and then that goes into another mixer, and that mixer is fed by the Y output from the Montauk Chair system and headset from the brain electrodes. And obviously the top one, again, the 30 Hertz goes through a mixer, and then it also gets a signal from the Y output from the Montauk Chair system and the headset from brain electrodes. And so that signal from the brain goes into a mixer. So both the X and the Y functions from the headset of brain electrodes go into these mixers. They then go into these amplifiers to amplify the signal, and that amplified signal then gets put into the X loop of the delta T antenna, and the other one is the Y loop of the delta T antenna, which creates a vortex, a spinning vortex around the X and the Y axes. And then your white noise generator that actually comes through into another amplifier, and that amp gets fed into the Z loop of the delta T antenna. As we said, it's a triple integral X, Y and Z in 3D space. So why the white noise? Because it contains all frequencies, so it makes this device very powerful. But when you put in all frequencies, you're not just broadcasting the frequencies of the brain from the Montauk chair and headset and the body, the aura of the body, but you're also amplifying as well through the amp and sending out into the ether the white noise containing all the frequencies. And so the Montauk chair was a time machine and manifesting reality machine, and it also in the end manifested a monster, because whatever you thought of when you were in the Montauk chair became reality so many within 24 hours after you'd manifested it. And so this is how. And you can also go backwards in time by thinking of like the 1830s. You would be able to see a manifestation of the 1830s. Or if you thought of the future, you could see a manifestation. If you thought of a Coke can, you could manifest a Coke can. If you thought of a monster, you manifested a monster. And so this was all what Preston Nichols was talking about. And it all makes perfect sense, because we know that the time field equation is frequency equals 1 over time. Or if you multiply both sides by time, you get frequency times time equals 1. And we do know that from psychotronics, that if you put a paper version of something like this together through an antenna, you can actually change reality just with a paper version. So you can imagine how powerful it is with an electronic version that's pumping like, 75,000 volts powered this system, But you could try it with a 9-volt battery. Try a miniature one. With today's technology, you can create a miniature little version of this, with just a 1 knob mixer or a 3 channel mixers. Yeah. And what a fascinating circuit. How to build a Montauk Chair time machine manifesting reality. But don't think of the dinosaurs. That's the thing you always say before somebody enters the time machine. Never think of the time machine. Never think of the time machine. Never think of the dinosaurs, because you might get transported back in time into the mouth of a T-Rex. Gentlemen, start your time machines. Your Montauk time machines. Very, very interesting. But you can't get a Lego kit.